looks like Fisker's making a comeback, and we might actually see some wireless charging pads for electric vehicles in the near future.
Yeah, a lot of electrifying stuff happening in the car market, and more on this episode. So Fisker being, an electric brand that you guys probably have never heard of because they had a lot of issues in the early 2010s, but recently received a sizable investment from an outside third party.
Yes, about $50 million worth, which to them, what Fisker's saying is that'll help them to start the production of the Fisker Ocean, which, if you haven't been following Fisker, that's their all-electric SUV, which is a pretty good-looking SUV. We'll have some pictures up here for you to see it. But that's going to help them start production for it in 2022 is what they're expecting.
Right. I think, if you guys have ever noticed, even from the genesis of electric cars, they've always kind of looked pretty lame.
Yeah.
I think this is a movement towards electric cars and really pushing the envelope of being like, wow, that's a good looking car. Because no offense to Tesla, but I'm not a huge fan of the way the Model X looks. I am not picking on its performance because it is an absolute monster.
Yeah.
The P100D of the Model X. But come on, it looks like a minivan.
It kind of does.
So I think with the new Fisker Ocean, I think this is a huge opportunity for, hopefully, if Fisker can hit the market correctly, get people to buy in. I think this is that moment, in time with electric cars to make them just look better.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before we start seeing more electric vehicles coming out. Like Audi has the e-tron, and of course Tesla, like you mentioned, and now we have the Mustang Mock E. So everybody's throwing out a lot of electric SUVs, which is what the market's tending to buy right now is SUVs. And now that we're starting to see vehicles go more and more all electric, before hybrid, they're kind of both. But now we're seeing more all electric vehicles, which is really exciting to see because these ones actually look cool.
Right. And even Fisker being the kind of brand that makes cars that are very aggressive. They're known to be this crazy supercar type of brand, creating cars that are faster than a normal car. So I'm hoping that this SUV is not just a grocery getter or a soccer mom extraordinaire. I hope that this becomes similar to how, you have like a Porsche Macan S, where it can produce, mid 300 horsepower. So somewhere around that kind of power range, or at least performance, I think it'll make it a little more exciting for people.
Yeah, and hopefully something that doesn't break down as much as the Karma.
So these days, just like your phone or your watch or whatever else you can wireless charge, there actually is a reality for wireless car charging stations.
Yeah, in recent past, the Kia and BMW automotive groups have played with this technology before, trying to make their own version of it. But this Australian company, Lumen Freedom, is starting to break some ground on it.
Right. I think this is huge. And I just, no jokes aside, or no jokes here, I've always talked to Jacob about my grand ideas of how to put wireless car charging stations in homes so that when people drive their electric car home in Southern California, they just park it in their garage and it charges. So I guess I just didn't have the money, but yeah, it looks like somebody out there is finally making it a reality. And I think that's for the better. I think this is where we're going. Like, how do you make a car more convenient? The biggest question right now with electric cars was how much range do they have on a charge?
Yeah.
And I think the big milestone is getting it above 300 miles. I always thought that was where they usually have the biggest struggle, but that doesn't seem to be as big of a deal for them to hit that mark. So I think this was the next thing, was like, how do we make charging more convenient?
Yeah, and that's really what humans want. That's why we shop online and stuff. People before, man, I hate going to the gas station. Like, I just don't like that place. Okay, well, here's a charging station. You just park your Tesla and plug it in. You're like, oh, that's great. Not too long after that, they're like, man, I really hate parking my car, having to get out and plug it into something. They're like, oh, how about a wireless charging pad? Oh, great.
Come home from work and get out of the car, done.
You don't even have to do anything. You just park it overnight, charge, leave.
Right. So yeah, I mean, a lot of really interesting stuff. I think this is, like we already said, a huge push into the electric car market and where we're going with it. I don't know what that's actually going to cost, being that it's only an Australian company that's been approved to build it. Yeah. I know all these other car brands were trying to get it approved. It's been a really tough neck of the woods for them, but who knows? There's a lot of cool stuff happening right now in the car market, even amid all of this pandemic.
Yeah, so with everything being online now, people doing all kinds of research online, it's only exciting to see all the stuff that we see reading articles about, all these advancements we're seeing in an electric market, which is really kind of expected.
Yeah.
Sure, things like this started out super expensive years ago, but now we're starting to see cheaper electric models, and even people like Ford and Chevy hopping onto the whole game with this, Mock E, all this exciting stuff coming out. But I can only see these charging pads expensive when they come out, but then a few years down the line, they find ways to make them cheaper and mass produce them. So,
like right now, you could buy one at Academy if you wanted to for your phone. I think it won't become that trivial, but I think it'll just be something that when you're going to the dealership and you're buying your car, every OEM is going to be providing it through your financing right there at time in the finance office. I think that's a real thing. They'll say, you can get your wireless charging station at home if you'd like. Your car has the ability. It'll cost you X amount more dollars per month. I think that is the future and what we should expect, because it makes the most sense. I don't think it makes as much sense to not do that, because then you're expecting somebody to drop a lump sum out, just drop like $5,000 or whatever it's going to cost. I have no clue. I can imagine it's very sophisticated technology, so I don't think it's going to come at like $5 or $10.
No, but when you can loop it into a finance or a lease payment, that makes it more convenient for the customer, like we talked about earlier, because now I don't got to drop all the money now. I can pay, a couple extra bucks every month or so, or however much, and I get it. So
all in all, I think that is some exciting stuff that's happening in the electric market. But of course, here at Gulf Coast Gearheads, we still believe in the true sounds of V8 combustion and combustion in general. So we're soaking up as much as we can of combustion as it still sits here. We know it's inevitable that at some point in time we are going to have to say bon voyage to the combustion world, but we will obviously have our cars that we keep around and somehow find out in the middle of the desert our gas station that we have to refill them with.
Something.
But I mean, if you guys have any comments or any questions or stuff like that you think about this entire shift in the car market with the electric side of things, let us know in the comment section. And as always, go ahead and support us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That is so huge to us. We appreciate every view we get. You guys are the best.
So without further ado, that's Gulf Coast Gearheads signing off.